comfortable with. We're just going to do it. There'll be a few little bits and pieces that come up, but we've looked at pretty well everything there is to look at on this exercise. So lifting your hands not too far away from you, or you can circle around if you like. Whatever's good for you. You just lift up and you do a pelvic tilt. Expand the hands away towards your screen a little bit. Notice the angle of the forearms. They're about 45 degrees. And try and relax your pelvis. So the whole concept of this is that you are in effect a ball. So it's often called holding the ball, but I think it's slightly deceptive field because the ball really is the whole of your body. In other words, and I'm reluctant to use the word expansion and expanded, but you have, as if from the very central core of your body, that vertical line, you have expanded in all directions. So forwards and your back is going backwards. But if you try and make it go back too hard, you've lost it. Left and right, there's the elbows going left and right. So your hands are going forwards, your back is very gently, feels like it's going backwards, but you're not actually pushing it backwards. You're just conscious of the two surfaces, forwards and backwards. You're conscious of the two elbow surfaces, left and right. Also here on the crown of the head to your feet, we are sitting down, we do have the knees bent, but you release the neck and you let your shoulders feel like they're falling into your feet. So your torso, shoulders downwards, is all part of the earth. And you release the neck and the head are part of, you know, the space, the heavens, whatever you'd like to call it. And the concept here is that you as the person is in the middle. So we have, if you like, if we're going to use the Chinese concept, you've got the heavens, you've got earth, and the human in the middle. So we're looking in the sort of alchemical terms, we're looking for an interchange of energy between above us, the universe if you prefer, the planet below us, and the human in the middle. And the idea here is that the human empties and becomes a pipeline. And therefore, in Tai Chi terms, you could argue, or in alchemical terms perhaps is better, although it all ties in ultimately. We're looking to unify ourselves with our environment is one way of looking at it. You could also say that the outside above us, and this again depends on your perspective, is well, so I'm going into yin and yang a little bit here, and yin and yang always depends on the point that you're coming from. So, for example, the earth would be yang and the moon would be yin. But if you're looking in terms of space outside, then because space is an expansion, you can argue, and the planet is a contracted field of earth and density and rock and all the rest of it, you could argue that the earth is yin and the expansion of the outside is yang. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't really matter. And if you were to reverse that concept and say the earth was yin and the earth was yang and the outside was yin, we are in the middle between the two. So in other words, the human is a mixture of the yin and the yang and is a sort of embodiment of the two forces. So this is all the alchemical side of all this sort of stuff, of which there is tons. And what we're looking for, in effect, the Chinese would argue that there is an interchange of energy between the universe and the planet the whole time. The whole thing is a constant interchange of energy. And we are in the middle, humans are in the middle, and ideally you relax as much as possible and you open, so you become like a conduit. You're a pipeline. And the more like a pipeline you can be, the more you can respond to the outside forces of, the universe and the planet itself. So there you go. There's a slightly different perspective on all this. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that you have to relax. So whether you want to go in for all that other stuff or not, it's entirely up to you. Even just out of interest, you might want to take a look at it. There's plenty of stuff on the internet about it. But here, ultimately, what we're trying to do is let go. So on a purely physical level, we're trying not to tense any muscles and we're trying to completely undo. So that the body, because it's a three-dimensional, but it's got six sides, top, bottom, left, right, forwards and backwards, the ball, we're trying to make sure that that ball is completely also equal on all sides. So one side isn't leaking energy. So you just need to check, are your shoulders tense? Is your neck tense? Have you pushed your head forward? Is it sitting in the correct place on your spine? Is your pelvis compressed? Are you tensing the buttocks? What are you doing with your chest? Is it just releasing? Is the breastbone soft? Okay, very slowly lower your hands, but don't stand up. Very slowly lower the hands to this position down here, which is where we've been before. So the lower position, and you just stay here. Now, at the same time, we can do all sorts of other stuff with this exercise, which we've touched on, particularly things like opening the bones in the hands and the feet. You can use the breath to do that, but you don't have to. So let's say we are going to use the breath. When you breathe in, feel like the bones in your palms and the bones in your feet, the metacarpals and the metatarsals, are actually just widening. And then when you breathe out, you don't close them, you just let the muscles kind of hang. You release, but don't do anything. So on the opening, and there's nothing visual to see here, when you open the bones in your hands and feet, only you know you're doing it. Any tension is no good. It completely contradicts what we actually want to achieve with this. So this is all what takes place, how you feel inside your body. And the feeling is the most important thing here. Just check where your weight is on your feet. Is it on the balls of the feet? Is it on the heels? Just bring it back to the middle of your foot. You don't particularly, it's like in the one of the warm-up exercises we did earlier. When you sink into the heels, if you got the weight on the heels, you're actually triggering a different set of muscles than when you're on the ball of the foot. It's a completely different set. So you just get your weight in the middle so that you're evenly distributing the weight over the entire feet, which will have the effect of evenly distributing any pressure up through both sides of the legs, front and back. You're breathing gently, there's no special breathing necessary, just breathe normally, relaxed. So ideally, we do this for 10 minutes, or I don't know how long we've done. I haven't timed it, but um, it doesn't particularly matter too much for this particular lesson class. But ideally, you practice this several minutes a day at least. You know, if you can do 10 minutes, do 15 minutes, whatever, a day whilst you're watching something else, looking out at your garden, whatever you do, just holding this posture and just working on your posture and how you align your bone structure, how you align your body. Forget the earth and the universe. Don't worry too much about that. It's conceptual stuff. It kind of becomes more important later on if you want to go there, but you don't have to ever. Because this ultimately for your health is an extremely good exercise. You can do it sitting down. We don't have to be standing on the legs. You can have your bum on a chair and you feel your sitting bones instead of your feet pushing down into the chair, instead of the feet into the floor. Quite quite okay to do it. Very good for the heart, very good for the lungs, particularly when the hands are up higher. In this position, still good for that, but it has a different effect. It's more of, as I said before, a storing effect of the energy in your center. Very slowly lower your hands, straighten your legs, and then put your back of your hands on your kidneys, and you just lift the foot up and you rotate and just stretch out the thigh muscle there at the top. Yeah, stretching it out. And again, if you want to practice your balance on this, as you lift the leg off the floor, drop your hip into the foot you're standing on, and you feel as though you're dropping a fence post down into the floor. So you're sinking your leg you're standing on down through the floor like you would if you were putting a post in the garden of some sort. You know, you actually dig it well into the ground if you were putting up a fence. The main supports would be a third of the length of the post you're putting into the ground.